All right, so I think we'll get started here with the webinar. If others people are going to join, this video will be recorded, so you do have the opportunity to come back and watch the webinar. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. Today's webinar is going to be on the best free Revit tools from CTC. My name is Patrick Siemek. I am a technical consultant for the AEC team with SolidCAD. Been using Revit, as I'm going to be showing some tools over here today with CTC for many years here, and trying to show you how you could actually utilize the different types of tools, which are once again free in your everyday workflow and projects. So today's learning objectives are going to be identify which CTC suites target a user's role in a project. So there are 3 different suites with different tools within them. So we're going to identify which one's going to do different tasks and roles for different people inside of a project. We're going to identify what are the free tools when you do download the tools themselves and they are inside of Revit. Learn some of the free tool workflows and key features. So we will be dabbling into a few of the different tools themselves and seeing how they work and how you could utilize them in your projects. And the last one, who doesn't like free tools? So again, these are available to anyone that wants to download them and use them as you start your projects. So as we have here on the screen, we can see we have a few different suites. So CTC has created different suites. So we have the Bim Project Suite, Bim Manager Suite, and a Bim Batch Suite. Within each of the suites, we're going to see a darker color and a lighter color. The darker colors, if we kind of just look at the Bim Project Suite, dark colors are the green, darker green colors, and then we have the light green colors. So dark green are the paid tools, but then the light green ones are the free tools within the suites. And as we go on through the different suites, it's the same thing, the darker blue with the light blue, and say a darker purple with a pink color. So the Bim Project Suite is like an everyday Revit user. So these tools that you could use as we have renumbering or quick select, an everyday Revit user will be using. So again, we'll go through a few of those tools to see how they could work inside of your projects. Bim Manager Suite, as it says in the name, more of something you're kind of looking over a project itself, more managerial role. So we do have different tools there to kind of help within the projects. As we can see, Project Cleaner as one of those options that we have there. And the last one, Bim Batch Suite, to kind of task everything together within the project themselves. Here we can see a example of exporting mass families within a project and also loading them back into your projects themselves. So with that said, let's already just jump into a demo with a few of these tools. So with my Revit screen now open, once you download the tools from CTC, you'll have a tab, CTC software, right at the top. So here you'll see we have the different types of suites that I kind of just mentioned previously with the slides. We have the Bim Project Suite on the right side, Bim Manager Suite in the middle, and on the left side, the Bim Batch Suite. As we're looking for the free tools, the dark ones are the paid ones that you could use from CTC. But if you do download the tools, you will have a free trial of those paid ones for a few days. But once the trial is over, you will then still continue with your free tools. So as I select the dropdown here, we can see we have some free tools in the Bim Project Suite. We have Detail Link, Length Calculator, Quick Select, Renumbering, and Viewliner. The tools that I'm going to be demonstrating today from this specific suite are going to be Quick Select, Renumbering, and Viewliner. So with Quick Select, what is the purpose of this tool? So as we kind of work in your projects, if we do want to select something, yes, we can select an element itself and it highlights it. If I want the same thing of that item, we could go right click, select all instances, visible in view or visible in project, selects all of those specific types. But what if we start to want to select something more specific, maybe like a fire rating of a wall? Or if I start selecting multiple types of walls. So as I start selecting multiple wall types, if they are different, we will see in the properties that it says multiple types selected. How can I then kind of just differentiate the types of walls? With filter, we're just going to have walls. With the properties dialog box, we're also just going to have walls. This is where quick select can come into effect to help you specify what is your selection of your elements. So the example I'm going to use here is going to be for the walls and a specific fire rating. We have a 1 hour fire rating wall. We have a 2 hour fire rating wall. So with quick select, going to go first to my tool, three tools at the top, select the quick select option. As we open up the dialog box with any tool from CTC, you will have videos and help documents to kind of help you through the tools themselves. Once I open my quick select, from here, since I was using walls, if I look on the left side, we could have our different selections. So starting with walls, my first selection that I have on the left, gonna go now to the middle, where we're gonna have what do we want to select. Like we have in Revit, we can select everything in a project, the active view, or if you already had a current selection. I'm gonna select the specific active view that I have. So clicking inside of there. If you do have filters within your own Revit projects, you can actually use filters and use the quick select tool and use a filter selection within this location here. But we're actually going to use the quick select tool to kind of manually select and kind of filter out what we want to select. So from here, what category are we looking for? We click the drop down. We can then start selecting the category and looking for, as I mentioned, the category walls. With my selection now here, just going to use walls as an example. Add to selection, going to click update selection set. So there's my first selection. We have walls just selected. We have 72 different walls inside of this view. As I kind of move the screen away, we see all the walls selected. With quick select, if I start expanding the selections, we could start to see we have a little bit more functionality of the quick select as we do just the filtering tool in Revit. We have how many walls were selected, then is it a system family, and what types of walls, and then we could even furthermore expand them to go to those individual wall selections. So here you can start to see you can leverage a lot more value to what you want to select inside of your actual projects themselves. With this, if we want to still fine tune what we are selecting, I'm going to go back to my wall selection here on the right, back into my selection criteria. Now I'm going to start changing. What do I want to look for? A parameter. I'm going to say I want to look for fire rating. And if the fire rating equals to 1 hour. So I want to specify a specific wall type. And I'm just going to click here at the bottom, replace the section set. So now with my new selection type, I'm looking for walls with a fire rating of 1 hour. And now we can see we have been specified to now just only 23 walls. As I move those values away, we can start to see those selections in place. So here we can start to kind of pinpoint exactly what do we want selected within our views themselves. You could have multiple selection option types here. So maybe if down the road I have walls as an option in place, but now my next selection, we could always add a new type. I could come into here, select from the active view. Maybe this time the category is going to be doors. Selecting the doors option. And from here, we can see all the different door values that are in place. Maybe I'll select the type option as height. And if the door is less than, and we can specify a value. So if the door is less than 2134, have that to my selection. Update selection set. I don't think there's actually doors any ones lower than 2134, but it could be added now to my list. With these settings, you can save these settings. So if you come back to another project that you're working on, or the initial one that you have been working on, you can save these settings, load them back in, and then your selection criteria will be saved. And then you can start working through them to quickly start selecting your elements. So that would be the kind of tool that we could use for the quick select option, is kind of more fine tuning exactly what we would like to select. So that is the quick select feature. Another free tool that we're going to be looking at is renumbering. So the example that I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my site plan and I'm going to zoom in to my parking area. So renumbering. So we probably have struggled before with renumbering elements within Revit. Parking may be one of them. As we kind of see here, we have some numbering. We have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and so on. So there is some kind of incorrect, say, sequence that we have in place. What we would manually be doing is selecting every single parking space itself, going into the mark value, and start changing the values. But now we can start to see we may start getting some errors as we do start to populate the data, as Revit doesn't like that and considers it a warning. So a tool that we could use to kind of help us, say, renumber parking spaces or anything inside of Revit and its elements is going to be the renumbering tool. Back to the free tools, gonna select Renumbering. Not only in Renumbering can we do parking spaces or the mark values. As I open up this dialog box, we can see we could easily rename rooms. You could add a prefix, add a suffix, start sequence, and it will actually auto swap room numbers so you do not have duplicates of the same naming convention. Areas are also another item that we could rename. Spaces. Doors is a nice key feature that we could use for renumbering our elements. So a prefix, a suffix, or as we can start to see here, room-based numbering to room from room. So this tool will start automating that. Grids. If you start adding new grids, again, that manual inputting of the data may be a little bit difficult or time consuming. This tool will help you kind of quickly reorganize and renumber those values. If you ever were on a sheet and you had multiple details and they are not numbered correctly, as we probably know, the little struggle is renumbering those details. They cannot be the same. It'll always give you an error. This tool will quickly help you renumber the details in the proper order. And the final one that I'm going to be using is General. General will be changing the marked value, as we see here, of the elements that we are using. So with that said, if I just come into here with a start sequence, maybe I'll even add a P dash. And then I can select start sequence of 1, auto swap. If anything has been renamed the same thing, it's going to swap it for a different value. So I'm going to click renumber, and I can start working my way through and start seeing quickly how we can start renumbering the parking spaces. Not going to go through all of them, but as we can see here, just by adding a prefix or just having a sequence, we can help, or we could quickly add and renumber and rename the elements that we want within our project. So that is the renumbering tool. On the architectural side, that's where we could use it. If I go back maybe to the mechanical side, if we have any kind of mechanical engineers or mechanical drafters here, within my HVAC duct plan, first I want to select all of my heat pumps. So if I were to select a heat pump right now, I want to select this one here, and I right click, select all of them in my view. I'm only selecting one. There are different types inside of this view. So with one of my free tools that I could use is going to be the quick select. I want to make sure I select all of my heat pumps within this view. So I'm going to use my quick select tool, similar to what we did before. Create a selection criteria for mechanical equipment. I'm looking for the family name, family, and if it contains, this time WSHP, and add to my selection. This time around, as we can see, as I expand my selection, we do have the mechanical equipment, but we can see we do have different heat pump, say, names. So I couldn't just right click and select all of them. So I'm using my quick select to make sure I select all of my heat pumps within this view. As I click OK, all of them are selected in this view, and I'm just going to isolate them as we have here. With them being isolated, let's tag all of our mechanical equipment. Tagging my equipment, and here we can start to see the tagging numbering. Similar to what we saw before, we have some inconsistencies with tagging. So as my heat pumps go, maybe I got 1-1, 1-2, 1-3. This is where renumbering will be another key feature or key tool to use to kind of have that consistency. Back to my tools, going to use my renumbering option. And it is using the mark value. Going to go back to general. The prefix will be WSHP, and then dash. And I'm going to start with number 1. Renumber here. As I zoom in and I start selecting them, we can start seeing the sequence of the heat pumps being renumbered. So with those two tools, quick select and renumbering, we could see we could quickly input data in a quick matter, select certain elements also quickly within our view. So a couple other free tools, still one more from the project, Bim Project Suite, is going to be our Viewliner. So our Viewliner, the example that we're going to have here, I'm just going to close out some of these views. You've probably run into some issues before where when we create a sheet and we start placing our views. So right now in this example for the mechanical one, we have 2 mechanical HVAC plan views, 2 mechanical or 2 plumbing views. If I start opening all of my views, open all of them together here, and I'm going to tile them. With my views now tiled, let it be the one in the top right quadrant. It is centered as I want it to be. All the other ones are now in the wrong place, or at least they're not centered as I have the one in the top right. So to kind of work around this, or to have everything properly aligned, we have a couple different workflows there. You could use your guidelines. There are, say, detail lines you could use. There are reference points you could create. So there are different workarounds to kind of make sure everything is perfectly aligned with each other. With a free tool called Viewliner from CTC, we could easily get everything aligned kind of with just tiling our views here. So I'm going to be using the top right quadrant here as kind of my base and make sure everything is aligned with that specific view. Back into the free tools, I'm going to jump down to View Aligner. Here we can see we just have a few options here. How do we want to align our views? You'll also see you could align levels, top, bottom, center, left, right, and also just a vertical center. I'm going to do everything starting by, say, the horizontal center, selecting my first view that I want to copy the kind of placement from, and then working to my other sheets. As we can start to see, everything starts to move and align itself as we had from the one in the top right. Let's select now the vertical alignment. Select what I want to copy, and then start working my way through to the other elements or to the other views that I've placed. Now, once complete, all of my sheets have the same layout, and they are all centered together. So another tool that we can use quickly to help us make sure everything is properly aligned to each other is using the View Aligner tool. Again, free tool, helps you align the different views that are onto a sheet. We have those tools from the BIM project suite. There are additional tools here too, Detail Link to help you link in AutoCAD details into your Revit projects, Length Calculator to calculate the total length of any type of selected elements that you have. As we move down the different suites, so again, we had the BIM project suite, gonna now move to the next one, BIM Manager Suite. So this one's more of overlooking the projects that you're working with and kind of making sure everything is properly cleaned and working as it should. So inside of the free tools that we have in the BIM Manager Suite, as I click the drop down, we have Family Preview Manager, Family Tools, Project Cleaner, and Revision Cloud Remover. The tools that I'm going to be looking at here is going to be Project Cleaner and Family Preview Manager. So I'm going to start with Project Cleaner. So with the Project Cleaner, before you start linking any models into your own project, or if you're sending out your models to other consultants, you may want to clean up the project that you are either importing or providing to another consultant. So with the Project Cleaner, what we could do here is, as I select this tool to, oh, I got another tool open here. Just close that one out after I close this. After I open the Project Cleaner tool, here we can start to see now we can start selecting what do we want to, say, remove. So when you are bringing in a new linked model to your project, let it be an architectural model or a mechanical model, or electrical, or whichever model it is, you probably want to make it as light as you can within your own project. So a lot of the views maybe you're not going to be using. As we expand views, we can start to see what views do we want to remove. I can start expanding now, say, drafting views. As an example here, we have 2 different drafting views available for us. We could check those on. There may be some background views that you do want to keep as, say, underlay, but with other types of views, maybe the elevations. None of these elevations that you want to have, so I could always uncheck those views to have them removed. Schedules and legends, probably not going to be using them from the models that you're linking, so you can remove those. Or again, if you are making your model as small as you can before you send it out, you could also remove the schedules and legends. As you move down the list, we have view templates. So again, if the model does come with view templates, you could remove any existing ones that are from the model itself. Filters. Filters are not going to be needed for any linked model into your project, so you could remove those. Or if you are cleaning up your own project, if filters were made by other users, you could also clean them up utilizing this tool. Sheets. You'll see a list of different sheets that can be then selected and removed as needed. Any type of links that may have been inside of the project, you can have those removed. Any imports, same thing. If there are any imports inside of your current project or project that you're going to be linking in, you could always remove those. And you have the images option too. If you have a consistent workflow within a project that the consultant or client is providing you a model, and you do want to clean up and kind of save those settings instead of repeating them, you do have the ability to save your selection. So the properties and the settings that you are initially removing, you can save those selections. So now if you get a model again back from the same client or consultant, open up this specific selection, use that same option that you had before or the selections, and then remove everything that is not needed. You also do have a purge tool. This just goes to the native Revit purging option. So another way just to quickly get you back to let it be purging out families from the actual projects themselves. So you do have Project Cleaner as a free tool to use to help quickly clean up your own project or clean up any project that you are receiving from other clients or consultants. Family Preview Manager. So this is just exactly what it says. So when you are looking at the different families within your projects, as I open this item here. So as you do open up your families, they always, when you hit save, it does come with a preview of what the family looks like. When you load it in, you'll see it in your properties, like a little image of it. When it's in your, say, local server, you'll see the image of that family. Natively, you'll be going one by one per each family and saving out that family, making sure a specific view has been selected that it saves and it utilizes. What this tool will do, you kind of batch kind of that process. You could also do it just to the active family, but you could also batch it. So if you do have 100 families and you want to have the same type of preview to all of those families, we could use this tool. So this is where we're going to do a little example here to see how that works. So I'm going to add some files here. And I'm going to use my doors as a option. So I'm going to click open here. And let me just get to those doors. Yeah, so you got those options here. So with my doors here now loaded, we have a few options. So at the very top, I'm going to click options. And now this is where kind of the magic works. So at the very top, where we're going to have our save locations. You could always save the setup that you are having over here, clean up any backups, some general settings. So when it's going to create a view, so as I mentioned, every time you save a family, a view is then selected to be saved. You could have that name, or you could have a view being created. So if there is no view already with this name, it would just create a new one. So I could come here, say SolidCAD, and this could be the preview. So that will be the name that's actually going to be created within that family. So it saves it to be kind of that little thumbnail image. Below, we do have some basic visibility settings. So again, do you want to as the active view, enable preview visibility? So we do have a lot of different options here, as you can see, for the Revit actual content that comes from the family to save out. But where a lot of more features come into effect are now the appearance settings. So as I click the appearance settings here, we now can specify, well, with that little 3D view that we're looking to create, if it's a 3D view, you can make elevation views, you can make plan views, or any 3D view. You can start selecting and creating these appearance features. So maybe if you want your appearance to be a 3D model, as we kind of see here in the background of the door, well, then we'll have the 3D option. If you wanted a front elevation, we can click front elevation, and then it'll start to utilize those values. Display style, so again, we have the wireframe, hidden line, shaded, realistic. You could use any of those. Detail level, display units, imperial metric, your view scale. Where you could also furthermore say, if you do repeat the steps a lot for specific family types, let it be mechanical equipment, your air terminals, your plumbing fixtures, or your doors, your windows, your casework. At the bottom, you could create appearance templates. So every time you want to run this preview manager against all of your doors or all of your windows or all of your mechanical equipment, you can save these settings here at the bottom, and then it will use these settings as opposed to the default ones we have here at the top. So for example, here at the doors, when I select it, if I click the options. So for my template called doors, which is going to pick up the view angle, it's going to use the left back top, hidden line, detail level will be fine. If I change this, maybe I will do, actually, yeah, maybe I'll just do the front elevation. And I'm going to click OK. So now we kind of modified that around. Here we have our settings, going to click OK. Going to overwrite my families within the location, or you can also save out the family to a new location too. Run the process. Give it a few seconds here. You'll always get a report, and then we'll have the new families coming into place. And when they are loaded back into your project, you will have that new preview image. So with this tool, what you're going to be able to do is create a new view within your families, set how you want that view to look. You could also change the appearance settings of that specific view itself, and then run this tool, and it will overwrite or resave the families as you want them, and then graphically with the little preview manager, show the correct elements. We have the family preview manager here. The last suite that we're going to go to is going to be the Bim Batch Suite. So within here, the free tools that we're going to see is going to be Family Exporter and Family Loader. So if I select my Family Exporter option, I was going to change my sharing option. So with Family Exporter, let it be you're inside of a project, or if you're working on a template and you need to extract your families to a specific location, if you're upgrading the families, or if you need to save them, Family Exporter is a quick tool, an easy tool to use to make sure you have all the correct families, but also organized in a Revit category format. So from here, we could search any type of families that we want, group by. So again, we do have two options of grouping. You have by geometry or by category. Geometry just means, is it a modeled element, 3D element, or an annotation? And as we start expanding these, you'll start to see every single modeled element, family, or any annotation, as we can start to see, say, the tags in place. Categories, you'll then see just the Revit basic categories that we have inside of our projects here. So this is where you can start filtering out and graphically seeing what families do you want to export or select to export inside or to your folders. Once you have your selection, maybe in this case, I'm going to say, let's actually select my doors as an example, and I could do, I'll do duct tags. Yeah, we'll just do two. We have an annotation category, and we have a model category. Below now, where do we want to export to? Maybe I'll come into here. I could go to my desktop. Maybe I'll make a new folder. Let's rename this one. Free tools test. And I click there. Below, we could then specify now when it gets exported. How do we want to export it? By the category only, the geometry only, or as we could kind of combine, I could do what is the geometry and then the category. So I'm going to know if it's a model category or annotation, and then the actual category. You could then add a prefix or a suffix when you are exporting. So again, versioning the different families themselves or adding whatever items you want to it. Once I have those selected, I'm going to click export. It's going to tell me it might take a little while for it to export here, but we just should have a few families in place. Going to click OK. I don't think I really had any doors here in this mechanical file. But when I go back into here, there are now my folders. We have annotation and model that were automatically created. Annotation, there's now the category, duct tags. We have those two in place. Model categories, I selected doors. Click into there, it automatically made a door category. Click back into there, and then we have actually a different door type here in place. So utilizing this tool, quick and easy to select specific categories. Let it be just individual categories, individual elements also. You could always expand a category, and you'll see the individual items that are there for you to select and to export. And the final one, just to kind of overview it, is the family loader. So as I click into family loader, just like as it says, loading in the different families into your projects. So you could add the different families to your current document or to different projects. You do have some other types of settings here at the bottom, as we can see. Only reload families that already exist in each host file, or load all families into the host file. So you do have those options there. As we go a little bit further, also, you can create new locals for the central file. So this tool will actually open your projects, load those families in, and then close them. Here we have some options, as we probably had when you do load in families. You have the override the existing version, or override the existing version and the parameter values. So those settings can automatically be prompted, don't have to individually do it one by one. This tool will automate that for you. And we have some other saving features across here too. So with that, with the different suites that we have here from CTC, we got the Bim Project Suite, Bim Manage Suite, Bim Batch Suite. Free tools do come with them. So every single suite has its own free tools. From the Project Suite, we have 5 different tools here. Manager Suite, we have 4 different tools. And the Batch Suite, we have 2 different types there. So in conclusion, CTC provides tools that are free, which can benefit many user roles. With these tools, anyone could download these tools. With the tools that we just saw today, there are some videos on YouTube that are there, kind of like how to, or how the tool works, possibly even some workflows that you could use with some of the tools there. So there are support videos and also documents that do come with the tools themselves. And the final one, who doesn't like free tools? So again, tools for anyone to download, tools anyone to use, really great tools to kind of help you with your projects. So in conclusion, again, thank you everyone for coming to this webinar. My name is Patrick Siemek, technical consultant from SolidCAD Solutions. There is my email, patrick.siemek@solidcad.ca. Feel free to email me for more information. The tools can also be found at CTC Software's website. So that's where you can download the tools. You'll have a demo of the paid tools, but once even the demo is done, those free tools that we saw today will still stay on your systems. So if you have any kind of questions or comments or a Q&A here at the end, feel free to send any of those and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Now just put back my email address here just in case you want to email me for more information.